Hello again. Welcome back. This is session 5 of 6 of the Wellbeing course that we have planned. And today I want to talk to you about two things. One is resiliency and how we can nurture resiliency. It's a hard word to say. And the other is something called the PERMA model, which I'll explain more at the end of the session because otherwise I'm just going to give it away now. But it's all to do with your well-being. But as usual, I want to start with a little opening practice. So she shares the screen. Just bear with me. Okay, resiliency, what it is and what you do to nurture it, and well-being. So a picture of a mountain. So for this next little opening practice, I want to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. It's another guided visualization like we did last week. And this is to do with being resilient and being strong and having another resource that you can call upon when you're feeling a little bit wobbly. So sit comfortably, or you can even stand for this. Probably I wouldn't suggest lying down because I want you to get the feeling of being strong like a mountain. So close your eyes and bring your awareness to your breathing. And we've done this before, so just experiencing the breath in your body. Just feeling that inhale and exhale through your nose. Maybe you can feel how your body moves, rises and falls. And then I want you to picture the most beautiful mountain that you know or can visualize or can imagine. Notice its overall shape, the lofty peak of this mountain, and the base of the mountain rooted in the rock of the earth crust with its sloping sides. Notice how huge it is, how unmoving, how beautiful. Now that you have that picture of your mountain in your head, I want you to see if you can bring that mountain into your own body. So your head becomes the lofty peak, and your shoulders and arms are the sides of the mountain. And your buttocks and legs are the solid base rooted to your cushion on the floor or on your chair. Become the breathing mountain, unwavering in your stillness, just completely what you are. So beyond words and beyond thought, you are centered, grounded, rooted, solid presence. As the light changes, as the night follows day and day changes into night, the mountain sits, simply being itself. It remains still as the seasons flow into one another and as the weather changes moment by moment. Storms come and go, but the mountain sits. Its calmness abiding all change. And then when you're ready, opening your eyes. And again, it's just another little tool for you, another little resource that you can put in your pocket and you can pull out at any time you feel. I think it's when you feel wobbly, or you feel you don't feel strong, or you feel like you're slightly coming undone. Just get that sense, close your eyes and get that sense of being like a mountain, and thinking about you know, when think about a mountain that you see and all the seasons that go on and the sheep that walk on it and nibble the grass and the people that walk on it, all these things that happen to it, these are all the external things. And you can relate it to all the external things that are going on in your life. It's like, you know, sometimes it feels dark and cold in your life, and other times it feels warm and sunny. But you, the person that is you remain the same. If you stand strong and just let all this change and disturbances around you, just let them be, then you remain calm and still, just like a mountain. So play that back anytime you're feeling that you just need a moment. It could be one of your mindful moments, your mindful pauses, and just visualize yourself bringing that mountain into your being. And so next I want to talk, it leads into being resilient. And what is resilience? This word is used a lot, isn't it? We hear it a lot. Emotional resilience on its own. So I just want to quickly share the screen again. And if this was an interactive audience, I'd be asking you to tell me what it is. But this is a video, so it's different. So this is some definitions basically of resilience. The ability to cope when things go wrong. So we've touched on this in the past about change and growth mindsets and things. This is all linked in. It all links in. It's not just one separate thing. They all link in. Having the ability to bounce back. I think this is my favorite definition. To bounce back when life appears to knock you down. A little bit like them toys that you get that are weighted in the bottom, and you knock it down and it still just bobs back up. Knock it down, it bobs back up. You've all seen them. It's not just a generation thing, I'm sure. Dealing with challenges and still holding your head up, instead of hiding in your room for days on end, having that little bit of resilience, having that mountain inside you, giving things a go or trying your best. So that's another thing that's as a resilience person will do. They'll just keep having a go rather than stay still and do nothing. Being strong on the inside, which is why I chose to do the mountain visualization, because that's about being strong on the inside. If you imagine that, if you don't feel it, but you can imagine it, then you can become it. Okay, so sometimes these little visualizations are really useful. Being able to cope with what life throws at you and just shrug it off. Now, I know that that's an easy sentence to say, because sometimes life throws a lot of things at us, and myself included, and it's not so easy just to shrug it off. And I think that's maybe a bit of a flippant statement, but it's just that ability to bounce back. I think I'll go back to that one, having the ability to bounce back when life appears to knock you down. Might not be overnight, the bouncing back, but it will be bouncing back. And usually things that don't kill us make us stronger. There's that saying. So it's just having that growth mindset, going back to that we talked about, and knowing that this is just a cycle of change, and you're going to come out of it and you get stronger and stronger and more able to deal with things, because life can be tough at times, and life can be very lovely. And standing up for yourselves. So that's also, and again, it's about this inner toughness, inner strength. So I want to, do I want to go on to the next one? I don't want to. No, I want to read you a story. I've got to skip two. I think I've got these in the wrong order. I'm coming to this one. So it might seem like a weird slide. Are you a carrot, an egg, or a coffee bean? I'm going to stop sharing. And that's because I'm going to read a story. So I'm completely reading from this. So if I don't look at the screen, that's because I'm obviously reading off a script. So the carrot, the egg, and the coffee bean. A young girl went to her grandmother and told her about her life and how things were so hard for her. She didn't know that she was going to make it, and she wanted to give up. She was tired of fighting and struggling. It seemed that as one problem was solved, a new one arose. Her grandmother took her to the kitchen. She filled 3 pots with water and placed each on a fire high up. Soon the pots all came to a boil. In the first pot, she placed carrots. In the second, she placed eggs. And in the last one, she placed ground coffee beans. She let them sit and boil without saying a word. In about 20 minutes, she turned off the burners. She fished the carrots out and placed them in a bowl. She pulled the eggs out and placed them in a bowl. And then she ladled the coffee out and placed that in a bowl. So turning to her granddaughter, she asked, "Tell me, what do you see?" "Carrots, eggs, and coffee," said the young girl. So the grandmother brought her closer and asked her to feel the carrots. So she did, and she noticed that the carrots were quite soft. And then she asked her to take an egg and break it. So after pulling off the shell, she observed that the hard-boiled egg. And finally, she asked her to sip the coffee. The granddaughter smiled as she tasted its rich aroma. The granddaughter then asked, "What does it mean, Grandma?" The grandma then explained that each of these objects had faced the same challenge or adversity, which was the boiling water, but each one of them reacted differently. The carrot went in strong, hard, and unrelenting. However, once it was put into the boiling water, it softened and became weak. The egg had been fragile. Its thin outer shell had protected its liquid interior. But after sitting through the boiling water, its inside became hardened. The ground coffee beans were unique, however. After they were in the boiling water, they changed the water. "Which are you?" the grandma asked the little girl. "When adversity knocks on your door, how do you respond? Are you a carrot, an egg, or a coffee bean?" So you may be now wondering, what is she talking about? Or you may get a sense of what that story is talking about. And maybe you have a sense of which one you think that you're more likely to be. And it's not to say that you are something, you know, we're not labeled anything. We're all very complex human beings, but so are you like a carrot that seems really strong, but with any pain or challenge or adversity, do you lose your strength? Do you feel like you become weak? Or are you like the egg with a very, very, you know, soft and malleable heart, but that changes when things get tough? Does your shell look the same on the outside? But on the inside, when you're facing those challenges, then you become quite hard and tough. So even though you've got the same exterior, it still looks the same. But under challenge, you kind of get more bitter and tough, maybe with a hardened heart. Or are you like the coffee bean? So this was the unique one, wasn't it? The bean actually changes the hot water. The very thing that's bringing you pain, the hot water is bringing you pain, but it changes the hot water. So when the water gets hot, it releases fragrance and flavor. So if you're like the bean, when things are at their worst, do you get better and change the situation around you? When the hours are the darkest and the challenges are the greatest, do you just kind of almost elevate up to another level? So basically, how do you handle your challenges? And I just want you to think about that next time. And it's not to say, you know, which one is right. Sometimes we need to be tougher on the inside, and sometimes we can be really tough, and then something knocks us so hard it makes us feel weak. It's not saying anything's good or bad. But when you have a way of being that's a bit like the coffee bean, it's that not reacting to it either way. You respond to it by going with it. It's like going with the flow. So instead of trying to fight it, you don't resist it. You let yourself give into that, and you become something better for it. That's kind of what that's saying. So I'm just going to share the screen again. So which one of those are you? And then this is how you can start to build your resilience, because we all have, I totally believe that every single one of us has this resilience. We have it in us. Sometimes we've lost it a little bit, or sometimes we don't think we have it, but we do. But you can start when you're feeling a little bit lost. You can start by asking yourself, what can I do to get back on track? And if you can't control everything, which you definitely can't, I think we talked about this in one of the earlier sessions, what is in your control? I can't control, for instance, the COVID situation, can I? But the bit that I can control is how I approach that. Am I isolating? Am I wearing masks? Am I keeping safe? Am I, not taking any risks that aren't necessary? What can I change to make things better? So every time there's a challenge, and I'm using COVID because let's face it, that's the biggest challenge that we've all got, isn't it, at the moment? And what can I learn from it? There's lots to learn from COVID, as I think we're still only at the early stages of learning, but look at all the things that, how people have got back in touch with nature, people have reconnected, have learnt new things, people have bonded more with families or with friends afterwards. They're realizing what's important to them. So there's lots to be learned from change. And maybe if you are struggling, it's like, who can help me? There's no weakness at all in asking for help or seeking out somebody that can help. And just how can I move forward? So getting on track, but also moving forward so that you don't stay stuck in one place and feel like the whole world is leaving you behind, even if it's just a step at a time. We keep doing that. So by dealing with challenges, you can learn resilience and you can find inner strength that you didn't know you have. And I think that's sometimes the difference between people who have had to deal with challenges, and I'm sure a lot of you watching this have had to deal with plenty in your lives. And you're probably some of the most resilient people for doing that, because people who don't have any challenges in their life and nothing bad happens to them and all the rest of it, when something does come eventually down the right, because it will, then they don't know how to cope with it. They haven't learned to draw upon that inner mountain, that inner resilience, that inner strength. And sometimes it's those are the people that you think wouldn't need the help, might need the help. So finding that inner strength is crucial, and I know that you have it. You just sometimes have to look for it. And finally, this is the second part of this, is just about something called the PERMA model, PERMA, and that stands for positive emotions, or feeling good, engagement, which means being completely absorbed in your activities, relationships, meaning, and achievement. So this model, it's a well-being model, and it was designed by a guy called Martin Seligman, if you want to look him up. And he is kind of one of the founders of something called positive psychology. And he had these 5 core elements at the center of well-being and happiness. So he believes that these 5 elements can help people reach a life of fulfillment, happiness, and meaning. So we're just going to go through each of the ones so we know what we're talking about. So the first one, P, positive emotions. So here it says, we do our best when we experience at least 3 times as many positive emotions as negative ones. So in any given day, you could fluctuate. You could be thinking positive and negative thoughts all day long, and have these positive, and then as a result have positive and negative emotions. So positive emotions, remember we've talked about this in the past again, are things like love, joy, optimism, amusement, humor, gratitude, inspiration, all things that feel good, they feel optimistic. So you feel your best when you're having at least 3 times as many positive to negative. So it's okay to have negative emotions. Of course, if we feel sad, we feel sad. If we feel disappointed, we feel disappointed. And these are kind of connected with negative, these have negative connotations. But if all you do is think, if you think far more negative than positive, the end result is going to be, you're probably going to feel quite sad in the end, or quite down, quite depressed. Whereas if you can start to turn that around, and we've talked about how we can do that, and squashing the ants, and having the growth mindset and things like that, and finding your mindful moments and using your breathing just to get you back out of that state, and get that mountain back inside you. So think about, and if you're struggling, it's like, think about what made you laugh today. Think, what do you feel grateful for? That's always a good one when you're really stuck, thinking about what it is that you're grateful for, because sometimes we take a lot of those things for granted. I mean, it could be even just being grateful that it didn't rain today, and that meant you could go out and not get wet. You can find some gratitude in so many ways. And maybe how can you spread hope? How can you be that little guiding light of hope for people? So that's about positive emotions, and how, like I say, so positive psychology is not about just thinking positive. When people say to you, oh, don't worry, just think positive, this isn't saying just say that. It's saying it's acknowledging that you have negative thoughts and emotions just as much, but you're going to try and outweigh the positive to the negative. So yeah, a few ideas. You could maybe, even exercising can bring about positive emotions. Maybe start each day by planning 3 things you're looking forward to, or try and find some things that you're looking forward to, whether even if it's just calling somebody, or making a cup of tea for somebody, or something little. I always find, for me, just watching something funny, finding something on Netflix, or a video that I've got, or something on YouTube that's funny or cute, and that it's amazing how that can suddenly just lift your spirits. If it makes me laugh, it usually pulls me out of whatever negative thing I'm thinking of. So the next one in the PERMA one is engagement. So we need to do things that we enjoy, that challenge us and use our strengths. So, engagement is also about, like I said here, being in the flow. So for me, and you'll have to think about what it is for me, I know I get in the flow. Well, there's a few things, but lately the thing that's doing it the most for me is just painting in my shed. Honestly, I can go in there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then before I know it, it's 2 o'clock, and I feel like I've barely looked up, or I've forgotten to eat my lunch, or I'm just so engrossed in doing something, or experimenting with paints and inks and things that I've been doing lately. I feel really engaged in that, and it's kind of like, that you're engaged in something when time seems to pass and you haven't got a clue. Mindful moments, that's another thing, just kind of just taking that time to get really engaged, whether it's, like we've done, using the breath or the sounds or things like that. So you could also, and if you don't do any of those things as being engaged, it could be things like learning a new skill, learning how to play an instrument, challenge yourself, or having a go at painting or drawing. It doesn't all have to be great. I mean, I've just been completely, for a while, just been experimenting. It's been great, ripping things up, collages, and sticking them down, and writing bits of poems and all kinds. It doesn't have to be just drawing. Maybe having some, dare I say it, that screen-free time. I think, because there is engagement in the screen, but there's, I think you just kind of lose your life into other people's lives, which isn't possibly the best way to spend 3 hours, but we've all do it. But rather invest that time in yourself. So get that, how you can get on Facebook or Instagram or something, and then before you know it, bye-bye, half an hour, an hour, whatever it might be. And it's kind of like achieved nothing for you, other than possibly make you feel a bit frustrated, or disappointed, or happy. Might be both, but okay once in a while, but nice to have some screen-free time as well. And then the next one are relationships. in order to thrive and be our best as individuals and as human beings, we need to connect with other people. We weren't really designed just to be on our own and get through this beautiful life on our own. We will need to connect with people. So this is about thinking about who you've connected with today. And I know COVID's been challenging, especially at the beginning, because we couldn't see people as much as we wanted to and things. But maybe this one, how can you help people self-isolating feel less alone? So I know during lockdown, for instance, I mean, I was helping people out that were pensioners and things up the road from where I live do their shopping, and then and actually even now I don't do the shopping for them now because they do their own, but they're still quite isolated. So I still sort of call in and have a natter with them sometimes, and I think it really I think they really appreciate it, because loneliness is kind of hard. But I've also enjoyed it. I enjoy listening to, an older person's take on life. It's been kind of nice. So who do you feel grateful for today, and can you tell them why? So even doing that, that's connecting with somebody. So even if you feel like you don't have loads of friends, or you're not maybe not getting on with that well with your family at that time, but there'll be somebody or something in your life, might even be somebody that, it might be digitally, it might be somebody on your social media that you want to say, I'm really grateful. Sometimes it's nice even just to write a letter to somebody and then say that. So that's kind of about relationships and meaning or purpose. We need to feel like we belong and have a sense of purpose. That's kind of fundamental as well to being happy, well-rounded human beings. If we just all bob along and don't feel like we belong to anything, or no, my friend calls it her poi pois, like a dolphin. She thinks she's being funny. It's quite funny. So we need to feel like we belong and have a sense of purpose. And belonging could be many things, because I know sometimes people, that have very small families, or if their families are not that close, you might feel like that's the way to do it. But you can belong to something in a number of ways. You can have a friendship group, you can be on a WhatsApp group, you can I'm on a Facebook group that's all to do with a painting course that people from all over the world have joined up on, and people are commenting on things and you comment on theirs. These are complete strangers, but it's given me also a sense of belonging, because it feels like like-minded souls doing things that you like, and you can all help one another and give positive feedback to each other. And it's weirdly like a sense of belonging, despite the fact that I don't know any of them. So it can come from, I know the only a funny example is I drive a camper van, a Volkswagen camper van, and I didn't know this when I got it, but there seems to be a little bit of a belonging in the world of VW camper vans. And not everybody, but sometimes when you drive and pass another one, they wave or they flick the beep the horn or flash their lights, and it's like, oh, it's the VW club. A sense of belonging there as well. Who knew it was there? It's kind of embarrassing when you wave at someone and they don't wave back, but there you go. You take your chances. So how will you structure your day to help build a sense of purpose? How can you find your sense of belonging? Do you belong to any clubs or groups? So another thing I used to do when I was a kid was I had a pen pal. She was in America. I wrote to her for years, which was like another little connection, and it gave me a purpose. I wanted to find out about her life and things. And sometimes even the small little random acts of kindness. Sometimes maybe when I'm lacking in purpose, I'll just go and do something nice for somebody, go and buy some flowers for somebody out of just as a random, out of the blue kind of thing. And then it's amazing how it feels like, well, that's it. That gives you a little bit of a sense of purpose too. And finally, accomplishment or achieving. I think I might have said before, accomplishing something or achieving. So we need to believe that we can improve our abilities and succeed. I mean, if we lived our whole lives and didn't feel like we'd achieved or accomplished anything, we might start feeling a bit upset about that. And you don't have to be, when I say this, it's not like you have to, be achieving, getting a PhD or running a marathon, or I'm trying to think of things that feel high up and that might be like, oh, that's an achievement, or that's that's an accomplishment. But accomplishments and achievements can be really small things as well, and they can be huge things. They can be all ranges in there. So what goals are you working towards? And, you know, setting little goals for yourself. So sometimes you might want to accomplish, say if you want to accomplish learning how to play the guitar, but it feels like, you know, sometimes you get a bit impatient because you want to be able to play songs like the next day you start it and it's like, oh, I don't even know these strings. So you've got to be kind of realistic on your accomplishments and set little goals. Maybe I'll just learn one chord a week, or maybe I'll learn one song over a month or something. And then you slowly build up. You know, nobody accomplishes things overnight. These things can take time. Or not. It could be like, right, I'm going to make a birthday cake for my son or something, and that would be an accomplishment, because if you've seen my baking, you know that would be an accomplishment if it got eaten. So, you know, getting a nice recipe and getting the ingredients and actually having a finished product, that is an overnight success, she says success, an accomplishment. So thinking about some little things, and all the little things where even if you accomplish that, it's really important to kind of pat yourself on the back and go, yes, I did that. I did that. Like, I think when I told you I did that Keswick to Barrow walk, I mean, that was an accomplishment. It took me 15 hours and the training that went with it. And whilst I'll never do it again, like I think I said, I don't know if it was this time or last time, it was an accomplishment, and it makes you feel, you know, it stays with you. So if you haven't got any goals, think about what it is that you might like to achieve, even if it's something way in the future, or whether it's something just around the other side of the day. Think about what it is and maybe try something new. So that's the PERMA model, and all these things, if you have a balance of these in your life, this is what this man who's invested his career in positive psychology says, that will bring you that sense of well-being. So you're not just kind of living your life, you're flourishing, you're thriving, you know, having all these elements. And finally, then your top tips. So don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. Let go of the things that you can't control. Every night before bed, see if you like to do this, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Challenge yourself to learn something new, big or small, it doesn't matter. Give it a go. Hang on a minute. I challenged myself to make this off YouTube, a little bracelet, one of those French. I've been wanting to do that for ages. Gave it a go. It's a little bit crooked, but I love it. And remember your mindful moments each day. So remembering to breathe, to do your visualization, to get that sense of inner strength, inner calm. And I hope you have a lovely day. And one more session left. I'll see you then. Thank you. Bye.